Right, hi guys, Luton here, and today I'm going to be starting what I think will be a new series. It's going to be called Mod Showcase, and basically we're going to be showcasing mods. It's pretty straightforward. I get a lot of requests, and also I get a lot of requests from people asking me, what mods do we use, what's this specific mod, how did you get this, how did this happen, why were you doing that, as well as people saying like, you should check this mod, you should check out that mod. Now some of these mods can be small, some of them can be big. The mods are basically what make ARMA work. You know, if you didn't have mods, like many games, I made a video recently talking about City Skylines, and actually how without the mods, I don't know whether a game like City Skylines would have the longevity that it did have, and it definitely goes without saying that without mods, ARMA would not have had the longevity that it has had. So it is actually a really huge deal, and if you want to find out a little bit more about my opinions about mods and how I feel developers should support modders, then go check out the video that I made talking about that for City Skylines. The link is down in the notes below, and also maybe you'll like my second channel, because I am going to be working towards sort of combining my two channels together a little bit more closely in the future, I think. But anyway, for today, we're going to be looking at a mod which many people will be familiar with, Blastcore. Now, Blastcore is a mod which has been around for quite a while now, for many years actually. And the original modder, I believe, for Blastcore was called Opticalsnare. And he made the mod basically because he was dissatisfied with the explosions default in ARMA. And this mod added a lot of particles, a bigger plume of explosions. And if you actually look back to some of my older videos, you can see different instances of this. I think it was called Operation T. I think I did a long time back, a few years ago, and there was one where there was like a giant explosion in that, and that was one of the, I think, the first few times I was using Blastcore in my videos, I think. But Blastcore basically, yeah, it adds particles and explosions, but it also, for example, smoke grenades. Smoke grenades actually throw out a lot of smoke, and the default smoke grenades in ARMA just do not. So basically, it's a client-side mod as well. That's important to say, because basically other people don't see what you are seeing. Now, there have been issues in the past with Blastcore basically creating a lot of frame loss for people and being very intensive like that. Now, this current update is not made by Opticalsnare. It's made by a different guy who's basically re-uploading. It's Paladin, okay? And Paladin is basically re-upping that mod because he's tried apparently very hard to track down Snare, couldn't get hold of him at all, and he's basically updated the mod because it hadn't been touched for over a year. It's not been touched since, I think, 2015 even. So the new update brings it up to date to 1.6 for ARMA 3, and it basically stabilizes a lot of stuff. So now when you have explosions, you don't get the terrible, like, crippling frame drop that you would get before. It could almost be like game breaking. It used to be in the past. And also things like, for example, the smoke. The smoke was bugged to hell. So that basically when a smoke grenade would go off in Blastcore, it would just kind of do nothing. It would just be like a little puff of smoke on the ground, and it wouldn't do anything. It was supposed to be big and pluming, and it was come right out. But you could get around that by going into the file itself and actually removing out the smoke element, the smoke PVO, I think, out of the file, and then it would go back to default smoke, so you could still use Blastcore but not have the smoke. So what are the updates? The updates are pretty straightforward. Some different vehicle explosions and some impacts and so on, smoke improvement, and then some more basically particle effects and so on. Bear in mind I'm running Ace right now, so you'll see like the cook-off effect for vehicles if I'm blowing stuff up. That is not related to Blastcore. Blastcore is just explosions and stuff. I just happen to be running my default mod set right now. And the other thing, of course, is the sparks from the weapon. I think I'll show you that, guys, first, alright? And I might actually just lower the light a little. I think it's about, what is it, like 5 AM or something? I'm just going to lower the time back a little bit later to like 4 AM. I could have just made it evening, but I'm going to go for morning. Okay. Oh, there we go. I was thinking barely any difference, but there we are. Right. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit better for demonstrating what I want to show. So let's just go anywhere. Let's get a unit down. Let's get just an infantry guy. What should we have? US Army, infantry, rifleman. Okay, let's take control of this guy. So basically, when you're firing your gun, there's a big spark effect. Now, that is not going to be for everyone. In fact, I'm not a massive fan of it. I almost would prefer But you see, when you're looking right down the barrel, it's not so bad. See what I mean? But it is fairly consistent. It's very same, you know, like every time. Watch every time. See, it's kind of, it does change, but barely. You just watch where the sparks are flying out and around. I'll make myself go deaf right here. Anyway, so basically I've got the earplugs in. You can see what I mean about it being a little samey. Now let's just, seeing as we're doing infantry, let's chuck out a grenade and see what that looks like in Blastcore. I'm going to back away right here. Hopefully I won't get killed. So, you know, do you see those other little particles and stuff coming out? Put this over here. Okay, now what else have we got in the mix? Apparently this guy doesn't even have any smoke grenades. So let's come out of him and we'll throw somebody down who's got some better gear, I guess. This guy I hope will have a couple of different things. Red smoke. Okay, so let's just go over here a little, just into the open. And I just want you to see kind of what this smoke is like. Now, you know, if I was trying to see that little dash along there. Now, of course, you know, if I was being really, you know, efficient about this and really comprehensive, what I would do is I would, you know, compare this to default. But I'm going to assume that you guys play ARMA and that you know what default smoke looks like. And if you do, you'll know that this looks nothing like default smoke. So you can see just how thick and pluming this is, and just how much space that's filled in a very short space of time. But more so, look at how it's moving with the wind, look at how it's diffusing to the edges of the smoke. So it's a really, really good smoke system, and as you kind of come through it as well, yeah, and then looking back. Now again, if you throw a few down, obviously it can get more dense, and you do notice that in and around buildings it can be really fantastic. You're going to start to see this more in some of my missions, of course. Right, so next up we've got a field truck down here, and we've got a little RPG guy. So let's have a look at what this looks like blowing this thing up down here. Okay, see, great flash immediately, and I'm partly deaf. Now I didn't blow it up, so we're going to go for another shot. Missed, went too far. But again, note that flash behind. Right, let's go for this again. There we go, another hit. Still didn't blow this thing up. This is a Hemet, so they are pretty armoured. Taken 2 RPG hits. There we go. Okay, so you can see that big flash of sparks, and then see how this thing's burning off and the light catching the smoke that's billowing out from the truck. So it's a really, really cool effect, and you know, it just looks so much better than the default explosions for ARMA. Okay, next up, what about a helicopter flying over an area which suddenly gets shot down? So let's actually put this in. I'm going to get a CSAT anti-aircraft Tigris down here. And this thing is going to light the shit up out of this, I would imagine. Tell him to fire in on this. Let's see which one goes down first. There we go. See the sparks from the initial contact. Lots of small fires coming in. Let's go for that again, guys. We'll get a couple of things up in the air here. Let's get a couple of small helicopters. I'm just going to use some vanilla little birds or something right here. So let's get a couple of these guys down and get both of them up in the air. Tell them to come over here, and this tank should smash the hell out of them, I would imagine. Yep, there we go. Watch out. So literally like fireworks. And even the impact, but more importantly, just notice, you know, like really, really not very much frame drop at all. Now, bear in mind, I'm obviously, of course, on the editor. There's still some cook-off here. This is Ace, of course. Just burning all that ammo. Alright, so we can see the effectiveness of that, but what about airstrikes actually coming in for something like an A10? So let's have a couple of off-road trucks that have maybe been spotted, and they need to be neutralised by a force. Let's bring down fire support. Let's get some heavy fire onto this. Let's get a gun run coming in. We've got the A10 and we've got the Thunderbolts. Let's use the A10 CAS, okay? The actual proper A10. Got an A10 run, here we are, coming down. And then not just the explosion, but look at the mix of smoke from the dark and the light and the burn off. That's what you're really looking for with Blastcore, is the smoke particles and the explosions. Okay guys, so we've seen the air assault action, we've seen some on the ground explosions too, but now we're just going to go through and just see how those explosions differ between a gradation of vehicles. So we're going to start small with a quad, we're going to go up through a Prowler, Hunter, Hemmet, and then we're going to have a Panther and finally a Slammer. So let's just go through the list. So let's start off with a quad. How is the explosion on this guy? Barely anything. He just almost sat down into the ground. Okay, Prowler. A nice tight little explosion. Alright, Hunter. Probably going to be the same, I would imagine. Yep, about the same animation. Okay, Fuel Helmet. Wow. That was pretty spectacular. I almost want to see that again. There's actually some guys on board. All the more horrific, I think, perhaps, if it's actually crude. Let's see this again. Damn. That must be because it's a fuel truck. I really didn't expect that. I thought it was just going to be a fairly standard explosion. Quite amazing the way the sort of the fire and stuff is coming out. Let's try that with a different Hemmet and see what the difference is. Okay, let's try, what is this, ammo or repair? Regardless, let's see what happens. Yeah, although no sound. Medical. Any standard? See, that's the standard one. The other ones have got no. The other ones have got no sound. Look amazing. So if this was at distance, you'd be like, yeah, this is in the mix. Same as this one. The ammo. See, the ammo's got a bit more particles going on. Although it looks like it looks like a kind of Disney starburst or something. Right, repair. And repair. Okay, so they've tried to go with something different for the fuel and the ammo, but you know, it ends up being a bit of a, it's just a container version. Yeah, it ends up being a bit of whatever because of the no sound, but nonetheless. Okay, let's go up to some actual armor now. Wow, and as you can see, much bigger explosion. And these always had the bigger explosions. Let's see that again, but let's actually get rid of these so they're not distracting us with the smoke. Yeah, these tanks and stuff, they do always have a bigger explosion, but just check this out. Really big. Look at how these particles thrown around all over the place, and the little bits of flaming debris that are sort of spinning out under the ground there. Okay, now let's take the Slammer. And again, yeah, so that's the kind of like the big explosion. Damn, and look, it even blew the turret right clean off. And just for the sake of it, let's just try an artillery tank. I imagine it's going to be very similar to the other guys. Yeah, there you go. Although a bit more, whoa, more echo and almost more kind of like ammo burn off there, I felt. Let's just compare that yet again to the Slammer again. Just want to compare the two. Slammer. So yeah, quite a straightforward, but like a lot of ammo burning off there. And let's try the artillery again. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's more of a kind of echo and secondary explosion going on there. So let's just try a Cayman blowing up mid-air, because again, it's one of those things which is kind of like, I'm just going to destroy this, but See, very similar to the NATO ones, so fairly standard explosion there. But you can see collectively how much space these guys fill up compared to the standard ones. I'm just going to chuck a grenade over there. And we'll come down for a gun run. There we go, I see them. Of course, he's already destroyed, but it gives you an idea of just how those explosions are looking when they're landing on the ground.